Picture a perfectly healthy kid ending up in the hospital with sudden, severe liver inflammation, just months after his family switched to a popular bottled water brand touted as super healthy and packed with benefits. Shockingly, he's far from the only one this has happened to. Most of us grab bottled water off the shelf thinking it's purer, safer, and flat out better than what comes out of our faucets at home. But let's cut through the hype. This multi-billion-dollar industry isn't really peddling superior hydration. They're masterful at selling a slick illusion that keeps us coming back for more. These companies love dressing up their bottles with buzzwords like alkaline, detox, and ionized to make you feel like you're buying liquid gold. But dig a little deeper, and the picture gets ugly. Independent tests have found PFS, those stubborn, forever chemicals tied to liver problems, immune issues, and even higher cancer risks in some popular brands. On top of that, many bottles pack millions of tiny microplastic particles per liter, and as we age, our bodies aren't as good at clearing that junk out over time. I used to be right there with most folks, grabbing bottled water because I figured it had to be cleaner and safer than what comes out of the tap. Then I started poring over lab reports and consumer studies, and the truth hit hard. Some of these premium options might actually be doing more harm than good in the long run. In this video, I'm calling out 5 popular bottled water brands that could be putting your kidneys and immune system at risk, ones you'll want to steer clear of for good. But don't worry, I'll also spotlight 2 truly safer options worth grabbing instead. Best of all, I'll walk you through exactly how to pick the right kind of water every time so you can stay hydrated without ever falling for these hidden pitfalls again. The bottled water promise versus the hidden risks. We've all had that moment in the grocery aisle, staring at a $10 or $15 bottle of water and thinking, if they're charging this much, it has to be way purer than what comes out of my faucet. As we get older, those worries hit harder too. We're bombarded with stories about contaminants in tap water, aging pipes leaching stuff we don't want, and the risk of bacteria sneaking in. That's why so many of us ditch the tap altogether and go all in on bottled, convincing ourselves it's the smarter, safer move. But here's the million-dollar question. Is it really? Here's a stat that'll stop you in your tracks. In 2024, the bottled water business raked in about $50 billion right here in the US. The typical American goes through roughly 170 bottles a year, and folks over 60 often guzzle even more, driven by real concerns about fading immunity, slower detox, and kidneys or livers that aren't quite as resilient as they used to be. When an industry built around plain old H2O is pulling in numbers like that, it's clear we're not just paying for water, we're buying peace of mind, a comforting story that the bottle in our hand is somehow cleaner and safer than the tap. The real kicker? A lot of that pure bottled water isn't much fancier than tap water run through a basic filter, then poured into plastic and slapped with a premium label. Independent labs have caught some brands harboring bacteria, loads of microplastics, endocrine-disrupting chemicals, or even traces of heavy metals. Worse yet, most companies aren't legally obligated to share third-party test results or even tell you straight up where they're pulling the water from, municipal supplies, springs, or wherever. But here's what really keeps me up at night. It's not the occasional off bottle that worries me most. It's the daily habit of sipping from these sources over months and years that can quietly add up in your body. The truly frightening thing isn't downing one questionable bottle. It's making it your go-to for years, even decades. That steady drip of hidden contaminants can quietly pave the way for insulin resistance, metabolic slowdown, ongoing inflammation, or strained kidneys. By the time symptoms show up and you start piecing it together, the damage might already be deep-rooted and tough to reverse. This hits especially hard if you're over 60. Your liver and kidneys just aren't as powerhouse efficient as they once were, so even low-level stuff has to be processed day in and day out. Chemicals like PFAS, microplastics, arsenic, and fluoride might sound like far-off threats, but they're already showing up in the bloodstreams of millions of everyday Americans. And certain bottled waters are turning out to be one sneaky contributor. This whole bottled water empire runs on 2 powerful engines: fear and blind trust. It amps up your concerns about what's lurking in your tap water, old pipes, weird chemicals, you name it, then swoops in with the perfect fix. A sleek, fancy bottle that promises purity and peace of mind. But let's be real, a gorgeous label and crystal clear plastic don't mean a thing if what's inside isn't truly clean and safe. I'm not here to demonize all bottled water. Plenty of brands out there are legitimately upfront about their sourcing and testing, delivering solid quality you can trust. That said, if you're picking your daily hydration with health in mind, especially as you get older, you deserve to know which ones might be slipping hidden risks past you without a second thought. Coming up, I'll break down 5 popular bottled water brands that I believe folks over 60 should skip altogether. This isn't about bashing companies or getting into marketing drama. It's strictly about the potential health health concerns backed by lab findings and reports. At the end of the day, protecting your body has to come first. Number 1. Real water, alkaline. Back in late 2020, a troubling wave of severe liver problems hit families in Nevada. 5 young kids ended up hospitalized with acute non-viral hepatitis leading to liver failure, though thankfully, they all pulled through. As investigators dug deeper, more cases surfaced in adults, including severe liver damage and, tragically, at least 1 death linked to the outbreak. The one thing tying all these illnesses together? Consumption of real water, a popular brand of alkaline bottled water marketed as a healthier choice. Things escalated quickly in March 2021 when the FDA stepped in with an urgent probe, leading to a full nationwide recall of the product as concerns mounted over potential contamination. Real water was pitched hard as the ultimate health upgrade in a bottle, loaded with catchy claims like infused with negative ions, naturally alkalized, helps your body detox, and gives you all-day energy. That kind of feel-good marketing hits home for a lot of us, especially when we're looking for simple ways to feel better as we age, without popping more pills. The real issue? Nobody from the company ever broke down in plain English what negative ion water actually is or how it's supposed to work in your body. The science stays fuzzy, the benefits are hyped without solid proof, and everyday shoppers like you and me are left with zero clear, independent evidence to back any of it up. Court documents and official reports later pointed to possible contamination during the company's processing steps, potentially tied to mishandling chemicals like hydrogen peroxide that were used in production. When those kinds of substances make their way into your system, they can spark what's called toxic hepatitis, straight-up liver damage from chemical exposure, not some virus. A younger body might bounce back from that kind of hit with relative ease. But once you're past 60, recovery isn't nearly as forgiving. Your liver just doesn't have the same firepower it used to. Once you hit your 60s and beyond, your body's cleanup crew isn't as efficient as it used to be. Detox pathways slow down, protein building drops off, enzymes don't fire as quickly, and keeping blood sugar steady gets trickier. If something stresses your liver, even mildly, things can spiral fast, especially when it comes to insulin and overall metabolism. I've treated patients who were rock solid for years, only to watch them fade into fatigue and metabolic chaos after just a few months on so-called health products that turned out to be anything but. If you're on regular meds, dealing with prediabetes, or just aware that your body doesn't bounce back like it did in your 40s, this isn't a gamble worth making. Your health is too valuable to leave up to chance with questionable stuff. Plenty of folks have ditched sugary sodas for Topo Chico, drawn in by that sharp, fizzy bite and 0 calories, making it feel like a smart, guilt-free swap for everyday hydration. But here's what really worries me about this one. Independent lab tests, like those from Consumer Reports back in 2020, flagged Topo Chico with some of the highest traces of PFAS, these stubborn, forever chemicals found in things like non-stick pans, waterproof gear, and grease-resistant packaging. They earn that nickname because they don't break down easily in the environment or your body, potentially building up over years of regular exposure. A younger body might shrug off low-level exposure to stuff like PFAS without much trouble, clearing it out pretty efficiently. But for anyone over 60, it's a different ballgame. These forever chemicals can slowly build up, potentially messing with your hormones, cholesterol processing, and the body's natural detox systems in ways that add real strain over time. As if that weren't enough cause for pause, Topo Chico faced a voluntary recall earlier this year in several states, including Texas, Louisiana, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico, over concerns of bacterial contamination with Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Healthy folks might not notice a thing, but for older adults with compromised immunity, this common waterborne bug can spark serious infections that aren't easy to shake. Bottom line, that sleek glass bottle might look perfectly clean and premium on the shelf, but what's inside could still carry hidden risks you don't want sneaking into your daily routine. If you're finding this helpful, please like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you practical, honest health information. Now, let's continue. Nestlé Pure Life is everywhere. You'll spot it in every supermarket, gas station, and big box store. It's budget-friendly, and that familiar blue label makes it feel like a reliable go-to. A lot of seniors figure that with a giant company like Nestlé behind it, it's got to be one of the safer options out there. But calling it purified water doesn't automatically make it as clean and pristine as the name suggests. It's often starting from municipal taps or basic wells, run through filters, and then bottled up with some added minerals for taste. A major investigation a few years back tested bottled waters from top brands around the world and found microplastic contamination in nearly all of them, with Nestlé Pure Life consistently showing some of the highest levels in multiple samples. These tiny plastic bits are invisible to the naked eye, have no taste or smell, and slip into your system unnoticed with every gulp. What's got experts really concerned isn't a single exposure, it's the slow buildup over time. Research suggests these particles can slip past the gut lining, hitch a ride in your bloodstream, and lodge in organs like the liver, kidneys, and even fatty tissues. That ongoing presence could fuel low-grade inflammation and oxidative stress, two big culprits behind many age-related health issues down the road. For folks over 60, this hits a lot harder. Your immune system isn't as bulletproof as it once was, and your body's natural filters, like the liver and kidneys, just don't work with the same efficiency anymore. Something that felt like no big deal in your 30s could pile up and cause real trouble by the time you're 65. Sam's Choice is Walmart's own in-house bottled water, super affordable, stacked on shelves in every store, and easy to grab when you're doing your weekly shopping. Plenty of folks toss it in their cart without a second thought because it looks crystal clear and tastes just fine. But here's the catch. That rock-bottom price tag usually means the company isn't exactly rolling out the red carpet for transparency about sourcing, testing, or quality controls. Independent tests over the years, including a detailed report from the Environmental Working Group back in 2008, flagged some store-brand bottled waters, like Walmart's Sam's Choice sold in certain areas, with levels of disinfection byproducts known as trihalomethanes, THMs, that went beyond California's stricter safety guidelines. These compounds often show up when chlorine used for treating the water reacts with organic matter during processing. Folks over 60 shouldn't brush this off. These byproducts have been linked in studies to potential long-term risks like bladder problems, added liver strain, and other ongoing health worries. As we age, our bodies slow down on detoxing and repairing themselves, so even steady low-level exposure can pack a bigger punch over time. If a brand keeps quiet about exactly where their water comes from or doesn't regularly share independent lab results, proving it's clean batch after batch, you're taking an unnecessary chance with something you drink every day. No need to play those odds with your well-being. A lot of shoppers reach for Starkey spring water because it's stocked at Whole Foods, comes in those elegant glass bottles, and gets billed as genuine spring water. It screams premium, trustworthy, and a cut above the rest. But don't let the upscale vibe fool you. Fancy packaging and a high-end store placement don't automatically mean what's inside is as pure and safe as it looks. Independent lab tests, including those from Consumer Reports back in 2019 and 2020, have repeatedly flagged Starkey spring water for arsenic levels hovering right around 9 to 10 parts per billion, teetering at or near the federal limit of 10 ppb. Sure, it's technically legal, but hitting that ceiling isn't exactly a ringing endorsement of safety, especially for seniors whose bodies are more sensitive to buildup from long-term exposure. Arsenic is sneaky like that. It doesn't flush out quickly and can linger, gradually putting extra pressure on your liver, kidneys, heart health, and even immune response. You probably won't notice any issues from a bottle here or there, but when it's part of your daily hydration routine for years, that's where the real worry kicks in, with studies linking chronic low-level exposure to higher risks of serious conditions down the road. That's exactly why going with your gut on a premium-looking brand isn't enough. Stick to options backed by clear, up-to-date, independent testing and full transparency, so you're protecting your health with facts, not just faith in the label. After everything I've laid out so far, you're probably thinking, all right, after all these warnings, is there any bottled water out there I can drink without second-guessing every single sip? That's a fair question, and an important one. The honest answer is yes. There are a few bottled waters that stand above the rest. But here's the part most marketing won't tell you. Truly safer options are far less common than grocery store shelves make them seem. Most brands rely on vague claims, fancy buzzwords, or selective testing. Only a small handful consistently do the basics right: source, testing, packaging, and transparency. Below are 2 bottled waters I point people toward when they ask for real-world recommendations, especially for long-term health after 60. If you're looking for a bottled water I can genuinely stand behind, particularly when long-term health and daily use are on the line, Mountain Valley is one of the rare brands I recommend without hesitation. This water is sourced and bottled directly at a protected spring in the Ouachita Mountains of Arkansas. That matters more than it sounds. It means the water isn't being transported long distances before bottling, mixed from multiple sources, or heavily processed to fix problems later. What comes out of the ground is largely what ends up in the bottle. Another important point is history and consistency. Mountain Valley has been around since the 1870s. That kind of longevity doesn't guarantee perfection, but it does suggest a track record of protecting the source and maintaining standards across generations, not just chasing trends. One of the biggest advantages, especially for people over 60, is packaging. Mountain Valley primarily uses glass bottles, not plastic. That's a major plus. Plastic bottles can shed microplastics and leach chemicals over time, particularly when exposed to heat in trucks, warehouses, or a hot car. Glass eliminates that risk entirely. From a health standpoint, the water itself has a naturally balanced mineral profile and a mild, natural alkalinity. Not extreme, not artificial. It hydrates without forcing your body to constantly adapt. For older adults, that balance matters. Your kidneys, digestion, and electrolyte handling all benefit from consistency rather than extremes. Put simply, Mountain Valley doesn't rely on gimmicks. No miracle claims, no exaggerated pH numbers, just clean, well-sourced water, packaged in a way that respects long-term health. Shasta Springs. Another bottled water I often point people toward is Castle Rock spring water, sourced from the Mount Shasta region. What sets this brand apart isn't flashy branding, it's transparency. Castle Rock is known for publishing independent lab test results and being clear about what's in the water and what isn't. That includes testing for modern concerns like heavy metals and other contaminants people actually worry about today. When a company is willing to put that information out in the open, it tells you a lot about how confident they are in their product. In terms of taste and feel, many people describe Castle Rock as light, clean, and refreshing, without the heavy or slick mouthfeel you sometimes get from overly mineralized or aggressively alkaline waters. That's important, especially for older adults. Extremely high alkaline waters can sometimes interfere with stomach acid levels or affect how certain medications are absorbed. As we age, those interactions matter more. Castle Rock tends to stay in a moderate, natural range that hydrates without pushing your system too far in one direction. It's also worth noting that Castle Rock focuses on protected sourcing rather than blending or heavily processing municipal water. You're drinking water that's been tested and documented, not guessed at. What actually sets the good ones apart? At the end of the day, what separates safer bottled waters from the rest isn't price or popularity. It's proof. Brands worth trusting are the ones that clearly identify their water source, publish recent independent lab test results, avoid extreme processing or artificial manipulation, use safer packaging whenever possible, let transparency do the talking instead of marketing hype. When a company is willing to show you real data and stick to reliable sourcing, you're hydrating with evidence, not hope. And especially after 60, that difference matters. Your body doesn't need more things to process, filter, or compensate for. It needs fewer hidden burdens and more quiet support. These waters won't magically fix your health. That's not how hydration works. But they do reduce unnecessary risks, day after day, year after year. And those small reductions are exactly what add up to better resilience, clearer thinking, and steadier energy as you age. After 60, you drink water every single day, morning, afternoon, evening. It's the one thing you put into your body more often than food, supplements, or medicine. And yet, for something so basic, most people rarely stop to think about what kind of water they're actually drinking. We grab whatever looks clean, familiar, or conveniently priced, assuming water is water. But once you're over 60, that assumption can quietly work against you. As we age, the body simply doesn't handle stress the way it used to. Your kidneys don't filter as efficiently. Your liver doesn't clear toxins as quickly. Your gut becomes more sensitive to small irritants that you might not even notice in your 40s. When you repeatedly choose the wrong type of bottled water, day after day, it may not cause obvious problems right away. Instead, it can show up subtly. Feeling unusually fatigued, dealing with bloating, sluggish digestion, headaches, or a sense that your metabolism just feels off for no clear reason. These are often brushed off as just getting older, but hydration quality plays a bigger role than most people realize. That's why choosing bottled water wisely after 60 isn't about chasing trends or spending more money. It's about reducing unnecessary strain on a body that already works harder to stay balanced. Start with the label. When you stand in the bottled water aisle, it can feel overwhelming. Rows of bottles, all promising purity, freshness, and health. The key is knowing what those labels actually mean. True spring water comes from an underground source and flows naturally to the surface. Along that journey, it picks up a naturally balanced mix of minerals like calcium and magnesium. This is what gives real spring water its clean, crisp taste without needing artificial processing. When sourced responsibly and tested properly, this type of water is often one of the better options for daily drinking. Purified water, on the other hand, usually starts as regular municipal tap water. It's then pushed through aggressive filtration systems, such as reverse osmosis, to remove contaminants, but also strips out nearly all natural minerals. Some brands add a few minerals back in afterward for taste, but at its core, purified water is highly processed city water. It's not automatically bad, but it's important to understand what you're paying for. Mineral water is different again. It comes from a protected underground source and contains a higher level of naturally occurring minerals. By law, companies aren't allowed to artificially boost or alter those mineral levels. What comes out of the ground is what ends up in the bottle. For some people, especially those who don't get enough minerals through food, this can be beneficial, but it's not necessary for everyone. Then there are all the flashy buzzwords: alkaline pH 9.5, ionized, nanoclustered, oxygenated, structured. These terms sound impressive and scientific, but in most cases, they're marketing tools designed to justify a higher price. There is little solid medical evidence showing these waters provide real, lasting health benefits over plain, clean, well-sourced water, especially when compared fairly. Next, check transparency. This step is where many people skip, and where mistakes often happen. A trustworthy water brand should have nothing to hide. Take a few minutes to look at their website or product information. Do they publish recent independent lab test results? Do those tests include contaminants that actually matter today, like PFAS, heavy metals, and microplastics? Are the tests conducted by third-party labs, not the company itself? Also, look at how clearly they explain the source. Do they name the exact spring or protected aquifer, or do they use vague phrases like natural sources or carefully selected locations? Transparency isn't a bonus, it's a basic requirement. If this information is missing, outdated, or buried in fine print, you're not really buying purity. You're buying a story, and blind trust is not something your health needs at this stage of life. Then, choose the container carefully. The container matters more than most people think. If you have the option, choose water in glass bottles. Glass is inert. It doesn't shed particles or leach chemicals into the water, even over time. Plastic bottles, especially when exposed to heat during transport, storage, or sitting in a hot car, can release microplastics and chemical compounds into the water itself. For someone over 60, this isn't just a theoretical concern. Your body's detox systems slow down with age. What your body might have cleared easily at 40 can build up gradually at 65 or 70. Over time, this adds unnecessary stress to your kidneys, liver, and endocrine system. Choosing glass whenever possible is one of the simplest ways to lower that burden. Finally, keep pH and mineral content reasonable. More is not always better. Extremely high pH waters aren't necessary for most people and can sometimes interfere with normal digestion, especially if you already have stomach or gut issues. What your body needs most is balance, not extremes. A moderate mineral content, a neutral to slightly alkaline pH, and clean sourcing matter far more than chasing the highest numbers on a label. Good hydration should support your body quietly, not force it to constantly adapt. In the end, choosing bottled water wisely after 60 isn't about fear. It's about respect. Respect for a body that has carried you this far and deserves fewer obstacles, not more. Small, consistent choices like this don't make headlines, but over the years, they can make a meaningful difference in how strong, clear-headed, and comfortable you feel. Practical Q&A. Water safety and health. Does boiling tap water actually make it safe to drink? Boiling water is effective at killing bacteria and viruses, but it does not remove chemical contaminants such as PFAS, heavy metals, or pharmaceutical residues. While boiling helps reduce biological risks, it does not fully protect against chemical exposure in drinking water. Can bottled water left in a hot car become dangerous to drink? Yes. Heat accelerates the release of microplastics and chemical compounds from plastic bottles into the water through leaching. This is especially concerning for older adults whose bodies eliminate toxins more slowly, increasing the risk of long-term buildup. Is it safe to keep a month's supply of bottled water stored at home? Long-term storage is possible if bottled water is kept in a cool, dark place away from sunlight and heat. However, prolonged storage in plastic increases the chance of chemical and microplastic leaching. Glass or stainless steel containers are safer alternatives. Do alkaline or hydrogen water machines actually provide real health benefits? There is currently no strong scientific evidence showing that alkaline or hydrogen water offers meaningful health benefits compared to clean, well-filtered water with a neutral pH. Many claims rely on unfair comparisons with poor-quality tap water rather than high-quality filtered water. Can home water filters remove everything harmful from tap water? No single filter removes all contaminants. Basic carbon filters improve taste and reduce chlorine, but often fail to remove PFAS, heavy metals, or pharmaceutical residues. Effective filtration depends on matching the filter type to the specific contaminants in your local water. Is drinking distilled water safer than tap or bottled water? Distilled water is free from most contaminants, but it also lacks essential minerals. Drinking it exclusively over long periods may not be ideal, especially for older adults who are more vulnerable to mineral and electrolyte imbalances. Are BPA-free plastic bottles actually safe? Not necessarily. Many BPA-free plastics still release other hormone-disrupting chemicals, particularly when exposed to heat or used over long periods. BPA-free does not mean completely free of chemical risk. Does filtered water stored in plastic pitchers still contain microplastics? Yes. Even after filtration, storing water in plastic containers can allow microplastics to shed into the water over time, especially if the container is old, scratched, or exposed to warmth. Is mineral water healthier than regular drinking water? Mineral water can provide small amounts of minerals like calcium and magnesium, but its health impact is often overstated. Overall diet quality and clean drinking water matter far more than mineral content alone. Should older adults be more cautious about water storage and containers? Absolutely. As the body ages, its ability to process and eliminate toxins declines. This makes long-term exposure to low-level contaminants more risky, increasing the importance of safer water sources and storage materials. Picking the right water might seem like a small, almost forgettable decision in the middle of a busy day. You pour a glass, take a few sips, and move on. But over time, that simple habit quietly shapes your health in ways most people never stop to consider. Especially as we get older, the little choices we repeat every single day begin to matter far more than the flashy decisions we make once in a while. Once you're past 60, your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. It processes chemicals more slowly, clears toxins less efficiently, and becomes more sensitive to what you put into it. That's why you don't need trendy, miracle waters, alkaline promises, or expensive bottles with fancy labels claiming to fix everything overnight. What your body truly needs is consistency and safety. Clean water that does its job without adding hidden risks along the way. Safe water isn't about chasing perfection. It's about reducing unnecessary exposure day after day. Fewer chemicals, fewer plastics, fewer things your body has to fight against. These changes may not make you feel dramatically different tomorrow or even next week, but over months and years, they quietly add up. They can mean less strain on your kidneys, less inflammation in the body, and better overall resilience as you age. Making smarter water choices today might not feel like a big deal in the moment. There's no instant reward, no dramatic before and after. But 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, your body may thank you for every small step you took to protect it. Strength, clarity, and energy in later life are often built on these quiet, invisible habits. If this video has made you pause and think about what's actually in your glass each day, I'd really love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what kind of water are you drinking right now? Is it bottled, filtered, tap, or something else? Have you ever noticed changes in how you feel when you switch brands or storage methods? Your experience might help someone else who's trying to figure this out too. And if you have a friend or family member who automatically trusts bottled water because it sounds safer, go ahead and share this with them. Not to scare anyone, but to give them information they deserve. Everyone should have access to clear, honest facts, not just marketing promises printed on a label. If you're finding this kind of straightforward, no-nonsense health information helpful, and you want more practical guidance on staying strong and clear-minded as we age, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It truly helps support this channel, and it lets me know this content is making a difference. We've got a lot more grounded, realistic advice coming your way. This is only the beginning.